Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 Podcast Hardcore. My name is Kilgore, and joining me tonight we have Preacher,
Hey guys.
Alt,
Howdy do.
Alex,
Hello.
Skies,
Hello, everybody, and good whatever time it is on your clock.
with our special guest, OneWolfe.
Hello.
Tonight, we're covering our interview episode where we explore Terra Firma Punk. So, OneWolfe, I am looking at a very impressive mod list for Terra Firma Punk.
Thank you.
This all seems very, very difficult together, and we'd all actually like to thank you for giving us the code to use it in our little play test before this interview.
Definitely. I'd intended it to be a public one, but it kind of has to go through a process on the FTB server before they'll make it public.
Understandably so. We did encounter a few niggles, probably due to mod interactions and the like, but that's well and good. I suppose the first big question though is Flaxbeard's wondrous steam power with infernal mobs in Terra Firma Craft. What the hell were you thinking?
Well, first of all, Flaxbeard's is one of the easiest mods to plug in. Not per se the client-side mods, which have almost no interaction with the TFC at all. But as far as a tech mod, that was the easiest one to slap in. It recognized all the TFC metals, and the only problem that it had is it doesn't recognize TFC water. So Flaxbeard's was very easy to put in. And I thought it was pretty cool. I was afraid that a lot of the tech mods that I was going to be putting in here would be kind of pointless, because when you go for a tech mod, one of the things you're looking at is ore duplication. Or with rotary craft, you've got ore quintuplication. You can get 5 times ores out of it, and none of those features will work at all with TFC. Not whatsoever. But Flaxbeard's has a few cool things. It's got a mining tool, and it has some people thought this was too overpowered, but it has a steam-powered flight suit.
That's my favorite part of that mod.
Yeah, we're familiar with it. No, actually, that easy integration does sound awesome. To share our experience a little with you, I was actually referring to the fact that the infernal mobs often show up wearing pieces of that suit with obscene health regeneration.
That's not actually the flight suit. That is cheap brass armor. But I wanted it to look like it was part of the steam-powered flight suit. I really wanted to bring out those steam-powered mods or mobs. The whole concept behind the pack was that it was a post-apocalyptic steampunk world. And the story that I was trying to put together, I haven't finished it yet, but the thought is that the whole thing was kind of based around some Jules Verne novels like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Journey to the Center of the Earth. So let's say they built a digging machine, journeyed to the center of the Earth, and found, there's a whole bunch of monsters here. The monsters get out and destroy the world. So what you have left over is a bunch of random monsters and steampunk zombies. So that's kind of the concept that I was trying to go for.
Well, it is appropriately terrifying. In fact, within 5 minutes of logging onto the server for the first time, I found it was dark, and then a naked man jumped out of a bush and cried at me until I was dead.
How did that happen?
That would be Isaac.
Oh, okay. Did you guys actually record any of your playtesting? I'd love to see some of the footage.
No, unfortunately.
I can simulate the experience for you if you'd like. Oh god, the sun, man. Look at the sun. It's getting dark. Kilgore, calm down. It's noon. No, we're out of time. Get in the cave. Get in the cave. We're all gonna goddamn die. Oh god, the sun isn't killing them all because they're infernal. Save us, please.
Yeah. On our playtesting server, I was adding features as we went along, and the zombie awareness was one of the things that I added late in the game, so I didn't really get the chance to experience that amount of terror first night.
We did eventually though figure out the way to survive. It appeared to not be it actually does change up the early terra firma in several ways, because our ideal situation was actually not trying to find a cave, building a little hut with a thatch roof. The first thing we did actually that was successful, as opposed to all the running around in a forest we did, flailing our arms through the air and screaming. that was all. We found some ruins.
Did you guys actually check out my tutorial, my how to survive your first night tutorial?
Oh god, no.
Okay.
No. We wanted the raw experience.
There you go. That's
What kind of manual reading pansies do you think we are? That would be far too sensible.
Of course.
I mean, this is Terra Firma Punk. This is not Universal Combat Collector's Edition.
But one of the things I strongly suggest for a new time player is find clay, dig a hole under the clay, because the clay will not fall down.
just live under the water?
Yeah.
And they told me I was insane for doing that.
Terra Firma Craft clay is not underwater. Yeah. Terra Firma Craft clay is on the surface. It looks like dirt, except it has a couple of flowers on it. But it's the only dirt that isn't a gravity block.
I believe our first two worlds were very unfortunate. We're in high northern latitudes and we had no clay.
That will kill you.
Yeah,
it did.
You cannot get into even basic metals without clay.
No, we were fortunate enough to find this tower of a ruin, though, and we just sort of sealed it off and lived in there.
There you go. As long as you guys don't go up to the top floor where the boss is living.
Funny story. We guess who didn't know that?
Which boss did they run into?
I think this is the point where we have to admit that we were actually forced to cheat a little bit, and discovered the spawner in terror while we had all agreed to live the first 3 nights on peaceful because we kept getting murdered so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Part of the issue is that the steampunk zombies had so much health regen that they were literally unkillable unless we all teamed up on them and ping-ponged them.
Of course, we were running version 0.15. I see here in the changelog that 0.17 has nerfed the steam zombies
significantly. Not only do they don't have health regeneration anymore. That was to fix a different kind of bug altogether. It was not intended to make them uber powerful, and they will not spawn with hats.
Oh.
That was some of the major troubles, is that they wouldn't burn.
The biggest problem, the reason why the generation was there was because I have to do some very difficult hacking to get them to spawn in the first place. And what would happen when I first started doing that is that they would spawn with half health.
Oh, so you'd put the regeneration in, and that would bring them up to full health when they encountered a player.
That was what they was supposed to do. But since then, I have found a way to give them an instant heal for 1 tick that gives them like 2,000, heals them for 2,000 points. That fixed that problem. But I didn't find that until only a few weeks ago.
Well, that does sound to be a much improved system. In truth, our entire strategy for them was usually to trap them in a hole, and then hack away at their knees from relative safety. Two people would slice at them, and one person would be standing behind that, just building knives over and over and over.
Right. I found that I would easily go through. Well, I recently started up my own LP of the series, and I realized what kind of troubles those healing guys were causing. I was going through a stack of rocks and making axes and hacking at them with axes, and they weren't dying. So yeah, I can definitely understand that.
So did you guys ever get late game with any of that? Or not even late game, just a point in the game where you started using steam-powered items from Flaxbeard?
No, we
Not
didn't
as
get that far.
successfully as we might have hoped.
And OneWolfe, you mentioned that it wouldn't accept Terra Firmacraft's water, so they must have been tricky to come up with a way to make the Steam mod work without water.
Yeah, right now there's a mob carrying a vanilla bucket.
That's quite tricky.
Oh yeah, the bucket zombies. I remember that guy.
Oh, so it creates the new water from Terra Firmacraft properly.
A vanilla bucket, when you pick up any Terra Firmacraft water, turns it into vanilla water, which you can place just about anywhere. I originally had a problem with that because they use Terra Firmacraft changed the water for a reason, and I don't like breaking the Terra Firmacraft, aka rules. But you can't hydrate crops with it. The only thing you can use it for is basically a ladder for climbing up a cliff, descending into a ravine, or moving mobs around. You can make a mob farm out of it. So because it doesn't hydrate crops, I didn't have a big problem with it.
You know, I remember when we saw that bucket zombie, and just like the notion of getting a bucket, we were all just, there he is! Get him!
Yeah. Since then, a developer has contacted me and made it so that all the rest of the mods actually recognize the wooden bucket. You can pick up TFC water with a wooden bucket and stick it into almost every single steam boiler except Flaxbeard's, because Flaxbeard's has written it in such a way that it only recognizes a vanilla bucket. It actually checks the player to see if you have a vanilla bucket in your hand, and then it gives its boiler water and gives you back an empty bucket.
I haven't dealt too much with Flaxbeards, but is there not other ways to feed water into those machines other than with buckets?
From Vanilla Springs, I believe.
Yeah, there's a few pumps.
But the pumps only recognize vanilla water as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about a railcraft tank and some pipes leading from the tank to the boiler?
Before the conversion mod was written, I did test that. The vanilla tank takes TFC water, and it holds it as TFC water. So the boilers still don't recognize it. But right now, at this point in the pack, the only one that's having the problem is Flaxbeard's. And if we can get the developer for that one to change the way they recognize or they fill their tanks, I'll be removing the bucket zombie after that. But until then, I still have to keep it.
You couldn't code a block and call it a water filter, could you? And say that Flaxbeards only takes filtered water? And this filtered water would change it into Minecraft vanilla water from Terra Firmacraft water?
Well, I'm not actually a dev, or a mod developer, so I wouldn't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah, I don't know jack about coding either. I don't know if you did.
It's something that I've deliberately tried to stay away from. I write in C# most of the time, but I don't want to I work all day writing coding, so I don't want to come home and write more coding.
More coding.
Right.
So I've deliberately forced myself to stay away from the mod development, but now that I'm actually putting together a pack and it's getting to be fairly popular, I might try and pick some up along the road.
Now, speaking of its popularity, you did mention to us prior to recording that you'd been receiving numerous requests for a public server.
Yeah, a lot of I've recently received some on the series that I'm putting out for somebody to either come and join me on the series or for a public server that they could record off of. So I get a lot of interest off of YouTube as well as off of the Feed the Beast forums. I put a message out on the forums asking to see how much interest there actually was for it. The more interest there is, the more likely I am to get into it. But right now, my focus is to finish the quest book, get the pack out of a 0 point state. It's still in beta. I want to get it out of beta, and then once it's out of beta, then I can start moving on to other issues. My goal is to have it out of beta by the end of the month, so that's only a few days. I don't know when this podcast gets released, so I'm going to assume that it's going to be a couple of days after this goes out, that it will be the end of the month, and I should have the pack finished by then. After that, I need to look at getting a server up and running, and that last time I got the server for our recording group back in October, it took me about a week to figure out how to build a server and get all the mods on it that I needed. So I'm expecting it not to take that much time once I've purchased the server, got it out. So I'm thinking maybe by the end of next week, maybe early in the second week of April, there will probably be a server out.
All right, then we'll be looking forward to that.
Great way to get a lot of new people to get a taste of your pack in a more pre-structured environment. That's the way of putting it. You also mentioned something about a very specific build you have to make before the stream to make a specific kind of Rotarycraft brick.
Rotarycraft is everything in Rotarycraft is crafted using a special kind of steel. It's high strength, low alloy, I think is what the acronym actually means. It's HSLA steel. And I talked to the Rotarycraft developer to see if any of the Terra Firma Craft steels would work, because there's a lot of steel in Terra Firma Craft. I think there's 4 steels that you can actually make tools out of, but between each one there's a high carbon steel between each. For each steel out there's another high carbon that you can use. So that's, I think, 8 different kinds of steel out there that Terra Firma Craft has. So I asked the Rotarycraft dev if any of those would work, and he said no, you still have to use his steel. So to make his steel, you have to build a blast furnace from vanilla stone bricks, and you have to heat that blast furnace with a fire or lava. And Terra Firma Craft fire doesn't work. You can't stick it over a furnace and have it heat it. It doesn't recognize it as a heat source. So you have to either pick up lava or create. You have to create a vanilla fire by lighting another block like a log on fire. And Terra Firma Craft, you can't do that. The lighter doesn't light the log on fire. The fire starter doesn't. Netherrack doesn't exist.
Well, I would use a kiln and keep making things and kiln them up.
Yeah, you'd have to find a way to keep your pit kiln running all the time. And that's something that I haven't actually tested to see if the blast furnace will recognize the fire from the pit kiln.
I know that fire is just slightly different after Terraformer crack. They had to adjust the way the fire works slightly differently because there was a glitch where you could light the side of a block on fire and instantly cook underneath because it wouldn't have a special have its tick amount. So that might not work.
Right, and yeah, TFC changes everything in the game, and it's difficult to get around sometimes.
Well, during that TFC crack, I had a lot of interaction with Dunk, like I still do. But he did mention that 1.7 into 1.8, he did have a lot. The team has a lot of goals to make it so it's more other mod friendly, to make it more of a base mod. So so your future looks looking pretty well, looking pretty up.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. This pack has been definitely a struggle. Just trying to make things interact correctly.
But TFC is a really exciting thing to have as a base world generation.
Oh yeah, I definitely love the world generation out of it. Very, very, very amazing terrain.
And once you find an ore, you have the ore. Is one of the quotes I have for it. Biggest fear is what's coming soon for 1.8 TFC. There used to be a code that wasn't properly working. When a block caves in next to an ore, the ore would break as well. Currently, this fall, some roofing have jumping parties underground, collapsing the roofing, grabbing the ore, and soon that won't be a thing. For me, it's gonna make TFC much, much, much more difficult.
You used to cheat collapse things to collect ore?
No, not cheat. They have the cave-in mechanic works.
Sorry, let me try that again. You used to exploit things to collect ore?
Yeah, I would dig out underneath them, collapse the roof around me, jump through the blocks because that's how Minecraft works.
Yeah, I used to do something like that in the 1.6.4 version, because the ores would hold up the ceiling. So I'd dig at the ceiling, let the thing cave in. That would be a lot less scrap ore that I wouldn't have to dig through, and I could just go straight for the ore that was in the ceiling.
Well, I know we have Alt to blame for thatch blocks being able to be walked through.
Why is that my fault?
Because
You
Dunk
used
saw
to
you
nerd
using
pole up
them.
them.
Yep, you used to derp pole up them to get away from mobs at night. Dunk saw that and said, "Oh, well, let's fix that."
I'm not the only one who did that.
Yeah, but you're the one that bragged about it.
I used to build little
Look what I
fortresses.
can do! I'm safe in the dark. Oh, really?
I didn't really derp tire little fortresses out in the middle of places and kill zombies around the edge and collect all the stuff in the morning.
I think the point was that you made a fortress out of straw.
Point.
And they huffed and they puffed, and it didn't do a damn thing. So they decided to fix that.
Point. You have a point there.
So yes, everybody who's out there listening, it's all Alt's fault.
Yay!
I think
We
the
encourage
caving
you to
thing
get
is my
stones and throw them at him.
That's
Now-
TFC's job.
Now, Kilgore, right at the start of this, you asked me a two-ended question. I feel like I really haven't fully answered the second half of that question.
All right, go for it.
Because you had asked about the infernal mobs.
Those, yeah.
I personally love the infernal mobs. And in fact, I've actually nerfed them quite a bit from what they would be if you just installed the default.
Well, that's terrifying.
I've removed quite a few of the abilities that I found to be a pain in the butt. The ones where they steal your weapon, the ones where they launch you into the air, and the ones where they put cobwebs on your feet.
How about the invisible spiders that can walk through walls?
But yeah,
I'm not
the
joking.
reason for the reason for infernal mobs entirely was because before the 1.72 version came out back in the fall, I raced through the tech tree of Terraformacraft in about a month. And I got there and I was bored to death. I had nothing else to do. So when Wooly Creeper, the guy who was in charge of the eCube server, wanted to start the 172, wanted to start up the server again with the 172 map, because terrain generation was changing. We had to restart the map. I mentioned to him that I was interested in making the server more interesting, or making a pack with things more interesting, adding some adventure to it. So I thought Infernal Mobs would be a great addition for some additional adventure.
And you did. You thought right. It was actually a really good idea, and I'm all for harder mobs. The only problem was that Terraformacraft's weapons are about as effective as fucking pool noodles. Like, the mobs are great. That was a good idea. I did like the addition of the mobs. We just need something to fight them with.
We had adventures in huddling at the back of a cave, throwing stones at our own shadows and twitching.
Well, originally originally Infernal Mobs was actually nerfing all the mobs.
How?
Because of their health values.
The default
correct?
setting in the Infernal Mobs config file has them at 5 to 10 health as their default. So when it goes and multiplies it by 2, you end up with a health of 20 or 30. So I was able to one hit everything that was infernal with my bare hands.
So you went ahead and converted them over to TFC health.
And it may not be fully balanced because I haven't had a lot of serious playtesting.
Well, I could tell you this much. We ran into a few mobs that had over 10,000 health, and they were infernal.
With regen.
I'm guessing those are
The Steam regen.
Those are the ones with the gold names.
It was the steampunk zombies.
Right.
Yeah, the steampunk zombies, the steampunk minotaurs. Yeah, we had one show up with like 17,000 health.
How does TFC work with Twilight Forest?
It doesn't at all.
How
Twilight
would
Forest
it?
is a different dimension, and TFC doesn't have other dimensions. It just has the overworld. So what OneWolfe did was he put the spawners for the Twilight Forest mobs as random world gen.
Through a mod called Ruins.
Yep.
So all the ruins have, or should have, TFC spawners. It's random. It's not every house is going to have the same spawner. A lot of times, a chest appears instead of a spawner.
I see. So it doesn't have, like, the Hydra doesn't have the flaming bricks all around them that you could have gotten netherrack from.
No. In fact, somebody mentioned that the Hydra tower actually, they thought it was a roguelike dungeon. And they ran up to it, and the Hydra pops out instead.
That's awesome.
So yeah, if you find a tower in the wild and it looks like a roguelike dungeon tower, stay away from it.
Ah, that's why there was a Naga on the roof.
Well, now the tower we used, it was like 1/4 of a circular tower. It looked like.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that's the one we turned into our base. We found that you could break the wireframe blocks by hand.
Oh, okay. Those are railcraft blocks.
Yeah. We found you could break those by hand. You didn't need a pick or anything. You just break them by hand and you can place them anywhere, and they are a non-gravity block.
I think you told me about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I could remove the wireframes.
No. Oh, please don't. Those things
For the
saved
spirit
us.
of TFC, you may have to remove them.
Even more ruined ruins. No stairs, no half slabs, no wireframes. It's being held up on good faith and baling wire.
Could you switch them out?
Yeah, swapping out one block for another is very easy to do. I don't know if you guys have looked at the config files for the ruins mod.
To me, it looks like gobbledygook. That's why I don't make packs.
Oh, okay. Well, at the very top of the file is a list of all the blocks that are in your particular ruin, and there's a number that goes next to that. And as you scroll down through the rest of the file, it's just a bunch of numbers that lay out each layer of your ruin. So I don't have to go through the entire map or schematic. I don't have to go through the whole schematic and replace block names. I just replace them in the header of the file. Say, okay, 56 is a stair facing west. Okay, I'll change all the stairs facing west to a solid plank. So yeah, replacing all the blocks in the ruins isn't difficult at all.
There you go. So I can solve that problem right quick. The AltGC Cossack solving 2 problems, creating 30.
I think that's a lot more general programming and working with computers. Is you solve one bug and create.
I've got a poster on my wall in my office that says there's 99 bugs in the code. 99 bugs on the code. Take one down, patch it around. 128 bugs on the wall.
Yep.
The motivational poster.
Oh, definitely. No, I found that on the internet and printed it out myself. But yeah, Ruins is a key tool in making a lot of these mods compatible, along with Mod Tweaker and My Tweaker. Because as I was saying earlier, a lot of them require vanilla blocks, and either you go in and you rewrite all the recipes, or you find some way to inject vanilla blocks into the world generation. So yeah, Ruins allows you to also create dungeon-like chests. So when you're normally digging under the ground and you find mossy cobblestone, you immediately go after it because you know there's chests with some valuable loot in it. Well, I can create those kinds of chests through the Ruins mod and put in vanilla tools if needed. So like the bucket zombie, he's not the only way to get a vanilla bucket. You can actually find them in chests in Ruins.
You mean we don't have to go out into the dark?
Dark is not a requirement, no.
I'm pumped now. Okay. I don't want to ever go out in the night again on that pack.
But going out and exploring is definitely a requirement.
That's the requirement of TFC, period. Find Garnierite.
Well, exploring's fine as long as we're not going out in the dark.
So it's like running across like a lone what are they called? The choker mobs.
The drowning zombies.
Yeah, the drowning. That's the one. Yeah. They just
Yeah,
look at you,
it's-
and then the whole party is dead.
Yeah, balancing is something that I'm working on right now. Up until this point, for the last 6 months, it's just been craftability. Um, can I actually craft these things from these mods in a survival setting? Because a lot of the stuff has just been creative only.
And that is a doubtlessly tall order. You mentioned though you were tackling this with the quest book, yeah?
Yeah, there's a few things in Rotary Craft, and I think there's a few others in Railcraft itself that require vanilla stuff, vanilla ores, quartz, soul sand. Those you're not going to find them anywhere in TFC. The only other way I could think of doing it is putting them into ruins, but you're never guaranteed to find any specific ruin out there at all. So what I've done is given a lot of the rewards have, here's what you're going to get every time, and then there's another line of rewards that says, okay, you can choose one of these 4 items. And I'll throw in things like netherrack, nether wart, soul sand, nether quartz. I'll throw those into the reward list so that you have a choice whether you want to pick one or the other.
I actually really like that idea. Just some sort of assurance that you can, not relying completely on a random generation. Because RN Jesus is not always smiling.
Couldn't you add Exaquilo and just remove all the excess recipes besides the few that you actually need?
Yeah, I really need to do that. It's not something I've spent a lot of time on. And in fact, I don't even know the code for it. I know where to go to find the code to remove all the extra junk, but it's not something I've spent a great deal of time on doing. Xnillo is not in the pack. It was something I had thought about in the past, but for the most part, I'm just using MindTweaker to replace all the recipes. Now, if before we started recording, somebody asked me about the FTB competition. Jam Pack 2. Now, at this point, because I've been working on the Terra Firma Punk for so long, I can't include it as part of that competition. I would have to start from scratch if I wanted to make a Terra Firma Craft pack. Yesterday, I recently threw together about 20 mods that I'm thinking about making a pack for, but it's going to be completely different than Terra Firma Punk. I'm thinking of actually going with a magic route, and Xnillo is one of the ones that I'm considering, along with something called Project E. It's like equivalent exchange.
It's basically equivalent exchange to brought up to 1710, right?
Right. But I would have to script every single item in Terra Firma Craft. The same thing with Thaumcraft. Thaumcraft is doable. They're through ModTweaker. Through ModTweaker 2, I can change or add blocks to what Thaumcraft recognizes as an essence. But once again, I would have to add every single item from Terra Firma Craft for Thaumcraft to actually recognize it. but it's doable. It's just going to take a long time.
There's only a bajillion of those.
Sorry, what was that?
You might be able to contact. I was saying there's only a bazillion things, because one for each ore type. But I was thinking maybe you can get contact with one of the TFC devs to give you a list. They say
Actually, I have one, so I'm kind of ahead of the game on that.
Yeah, I know that you did some videos with Honey Plays showcasing this, and basically in those videos you said that you were making Terra Firma Punk for her and Packrat, basically, right?
Did I say that?
You said that. I could pull up the video if you want.
I sense an impending backtrack.
Well, there was certainly some consideration.
Did you remove onions?
Could I
No, it's like, did you? That's Pax Bane onions.
No, there's
That's
there's a config file for that. There's a config setting.
It's currently broken to 1.7, so if you do use that config file, it makes you not join the game unless the server has the config file activated.
No, back in October or September, when 1.7.2 first came out, I had also. This was like a week right before they started their TFC Tuesdays. I had thought or intended to get a hold of Honey and say, hey, I'd like to make a pack for you guys to run a series with. I never actually went and did it. I never contacted them. So I didn't mean to have that in the recording, but yeah, I'd thought about letting them run it, but none of the other guys expressed that much of an interest in it, and it was kind of late in their series. It was a lot later in their series when I actually had it even playable.
Well, I know during the video where you were giving Honey basically the tour on the train, she absolutely loved everything you showed her. So,
oh yeah, I could tell in going over the recording, post editing it, that she was really thrilled with a lot of what was in there. So I did ask her if she could help me promote it, talk to Pack and some of the other Mindcrackers about it.
Well, for me, in the course of 2 weeks, I went to Red and Blue Steel twice.
What do you mean twice?
We got raided on the Friday of the first week, so I had to restart from Stone Age. So I had to do it twice.
Yeah, the last Terra Firma crack competition.
Yeah, the competition. I've really been interested in those competitions. They look like lots of fun, but I can't get my own server group interested in doing something similar.
It's soul-wracking stress. Because watching post videos, I found out I was nearly caught and killed about a dozen times, but me just being able to happen to vanish at the right time saved my butt.
Wow. Yeah, the server that I play on, we do UHCs every once in a while.
Well, Wolf, maybe next Terra Firma crack, you'll actually get a crack at playing with everybody on there.
Boo!
That would be
I'll
definitely
just
be
go to
awesome.
the punishment box now.
I would love for the opportunity to give it a shot.
Well, yeah, you talk with Honey. I mean, you're one of her chat mods. You're talking with Alt right now, and I'm pretty sure he could talk you in.
That would be very, very cool.
See, making connections, dropping names.
Can we squeeze in some shameless plugs? We haven't had a lot of shameless plugs.
We could try some
You have not
shameless
noticed
plugs.
the shameless plugs I've been doing?
Well, it's
We
mostly
can
all
squeeze
yours.
in more.
Well, for my shameless plug, my YouTube is MrOneWolfe, and I'm a member of a server called the Hypermind. So definitely come check us out.
All right. Any more shameless plugs we can get while we're at it?
Oh, well, the AltGC podcast is always hosted on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/C/TheDarkPreacher.
You can also follow us on Twitter at AltGC Podcast.
Yeah.
I got one question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
What
sure.
would you like to see added to the pack?
Ooh.
Oh God, I didn't come prepared for this.
Maybe some early game survivability may be good. Maybe instead of having the infernal mobs immediately start spawning, maybe some sort of ramp up mechanic like vanilla mobs and armor.
Yeah.
Like the difficulty thing that vanilla does when you stay in an area for so long, the difficulty keeps going up.
does that, but in reverse.
Yeah.
It starts off really difficult, and then as you're in an area, it becomes more tame.
I'm all right with the difficulty, I think. What I would like to see is power generation fueled by my tears.
Well, everything is powered through water, so if you want to distill that down,
Throw in a desalinator, we'll be fine.
I see some possibilities, definitely.
That's how these difficult mod packs work, right? They're fueled off player tears.
Actually, I just want one item in TFC. Just one item at the moment. A way to carry chickens in a box.
Chickens in a box.
Yes, because chickens do not travel well.
How about
you want a safari ball?
I want a safari ball.
A safari ball or a
just for
golden lasso?
Because the rest of them doesn't make sense for TFC lore. But I just want to be able to put chickens in my pocket or my back.
Yeah, chickens were historically carried around in boxes.
I know, but I've been asking Dunk for this for a year now. He has not given me chicken in a box. He has considered chicken in a barrel, but he has not convinced Biox for that yet. Because chickens...
I would settle for some chicken in my mouth at this point.
Because transferring the chicken from the equator to wherever the hell you decide to set roots is 6 hours of pain with a 50-50 chance of your chickens dying en route. I've done this.
I have Archimedes ships. At one point, somebody was trying to transport a pig around. This was in our initial creative testing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at one point the pig actually fell through the ship.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would expect to happen in Archimedes ship. I'm up at the air. It's nice and safe, cruising speed.
I love those, but I see now. I love the Archimedes ships because Ryan and I actually had a little a land connection, as it were, but a world in which we mucked about with their configs and allowed the Archimedes ship to be, what was it, 20,000 blocks?
Nice.
Some amount higher than what we had. That's for sure. Basically, it went from like something as small as the Goodyear blimp cockpit to Hindenburg like Zeppelin.
It was this outstandingly large ship. It was beautifully crafted, and then we actually made it so big though that you needed a co-pilot to fly it because whoever was in the driver's seat would just bug out and not be able to see anything.
Wow.
Yeah, we may have overdone it, but things would happen. Certain things we discovered we couldn't put down on the ground because they would just fall right out of the ship. We put a Tinker's smeltery in there too, and we came to discover, yeah, this was a poor choice. Um, we learned we had to knock out like the control block whenever we wanted to move the ship, because if we didn't, it would. Yep. Yep. It would just leave this perfect cube of molten whatever you had floating in the air behind you.
That's cool. That's great.
That was awful. Trying to live on one of those things is such a poor choice, unless you plan to just never move it again.
Yeah, the only thing that I disabled on the Archimedes ships was the ability to move spawners.
Now, why would you want to do that with some of the things that end up being spawners in Terra Firma Punk?
How about the portal gun mod for that part, for moving spawners and getting back home today instead of in 2 weeks game time?
I'm thinking about advanced portals for this new project.
I personally really like the. Is it the enhanced portals or advanced portals?
Whichever one.
All right, I'm just wondering if it's something that I haven't heard of, but yeah, those the modular portals from enhanced portals are amazing. Very useful when in connection with things like Galacticraft.
Oh, I so wish Galacticraft actually worked.
Galacticraft doesn't even play with things that aren't TFC based, never mind things that are.
I mean, simply because of one of the books that Jules Verne wrote, I wanted to add Galacticraft to this pack.
It is terribly unfortunate that it is just about the least friendly mod for, like, it's that one kid that's pushing everyone else out of the sandbox.
Which one?
Galacticraft.
Oh, I thought you meant TFC.
No. No, well, I mean, we've discussed a number of limitations here, but it gets along with things much better, and going forward, it will continue to be more agreeable with other mods. But Galacticraft just never has. They have just staunchly, nope, only Galacticraft power. Have fun feeding us 10,000 coal, asshole. Get to the moon on coal.
Well, in TC that's more realistic because we actually can get 10,000 coal from one coal vein.
That's not really my point.
The point was that NASA, right behind them, did not have some guy shoveling coal into the Saturn V.
There you go.
There was a point to where Galacticraft was talking to other things, and then something updated. I remember in one of the FTB packs that I played with some friends, I was running my my lunar mission on apple juice with a culinary generator.
About a year ago, like exactly a year ago, I was playing Attack of the B Team, and I was running my Galacticraft off of the lava generator from MFR.
And then, alas, something has happened again. There's like that one update that went out, and now nothing gets along anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the new thermal pipes will change that.
Dare to dream.
But do all of you guys remember that one video game where you got to the very end and it just crashed?
Which?
20 years ago, there was a bunch of them that did that.
I'm hearkening back to my Super Nintendo days, and I'm just like, what? So many titles.
That's what Terra Firma Punk is looking like. If I put in Galacticraft and I have that as your ultimate end of the thing, as soon as you launch your spaceship, your game's going to crash and you're never going to be able to play the map again.
That's how the last season of TFC Tuesday ended. Was the ultimate goal because we wanted to go to the Nether, see how that transferred for TFC.
Oh no.
So on the last day, we opened up a portal to the Nether, and we went in it.
Bye-bye.
Bye world. Crashed.
My other thought, and I tried this out a couple of days ago, was to have the last quest. You go and you fight the End Dragon. So I found a way to spawn the End Dragon in the overworld. I fought it in creative, and it went through its normal animation, and then the explosion particles went down, and they created an end portal, and the game crashed.
Oh no!
I had to wait for it to end it. It's like, and
So-
you're done.
Congratulations, you beat the final boss. Okay, the game's over.
No, you may not restore your last save game. There is no new game plus. Best of luck.
Well, a new game plus is called MC Edit. You go in and delete all the end portal blocks. Yeah, but I didn't think that would be very climactic worthy. Sorry, it's over. Try again later.
No, but working your way through the Twilight Forest bosses, that's an interesting challenge in Terra Firma Punk.
Yeah, I've actually got them. I've got them laid out. The only problem is that the random generation may not spawn every single ruin for all the bosses. So I've kind of tweaked the quest where you only need a couple of them, or I'm thinking maybe have some other way to acquire the spawners through other kinds of questing.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Here's a real quick question about your pack. If someone were to add in something like Optifine or Fastcraft, how well would it work then?
That's what I actually use on my own on my development version. Optifine, I cannot include it in the FTB version. Fastcraft is now open with a please notify me tag. So all I have to do is just post a note on the thread and say, hey, I'm using your mod. It used to be completely closed. You couldn't include it in a public pack at all. But he's opened it, so I've now put it in my pack. Optifine seems to be pretty good, but from what I hear, Optifine and Fastcraft don't play nice together.
Oh, they don't at all. At all.
I recently had to update Optifine because at one point it wouldn't recognize any of the TFC blocks. So you'd load in your world and there'd be nothing there. You'd see the trees and the rocks and the sticks, but you wouldn't see dirt or water or stone.
So basically, it was TFC Skyblock Edition.
It's what it looked like.
Please, no one ever make that mod.
Oh, come on.
TFC.
That would be
Skyblock
interesting.
Edition.
I
It
definitely,
would be interesting.
I definitely want to try that.
How? I understood how that would work.
Well, that's easy. You tweak X and Halo to use TFC stuff.
But one of the major points of TFC is realism, and you're in a skyblock. Everything falls. It's not like some things fall or most things fall. It's everything.
And what I would do is I would increase the propagation rate to where your entire island could fall just by one cave in.
I'm surprised you're not jumping all over this, Alt, Mr. I enjoy playing Skyblocks with clear glass.
That's different. I know it will be there.
No. You make the horror hallway that's just dangling about below everything else near the death zone, and it's completely invisible.
And I know it's there.
Yeah,
If
you
it could-
do.
No, you
Someone
don't.
else playing with
You're
you
just
doesn't.
taking it on faith that someone hasn't knocked one out because they're sick of your shit.
They tried that to they tried doing that to me once. I didn't fall
That
in.
doesn't surprise me.
It's because you had the power of flight at that point. You weren't even using that hallway anymore.
No, I walked down the hallway, but I think it's put a quartz liner, so I still had that white line in my head. I walked on the liner, so I didn't fall in.
But I really, really do want to try making a TFC version of Skyblock. I think that would be a lot of.
You're a jaded cat fanboy, aren't you?
No.
No, you admit it. You're a jaded cat fanboy. That's why you put infernal mobs in Terra Firma Punk.
I put it in there because I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to try fighting these kinds of monsters. That was when I had my blue steel armor, but
Anything else you want to mention on TFC before? Punk before?
I'm running a series where I'm going to be discussing tips, tricks, ways to get through the quest book, shortcuts, stuff like that.
So basically, survive and thrive in Terra Firma Punk.
There you go. Yeah, definitely that kind of series.
Something that we needed desperately.
Yeah.
We wish you luck wrapping up the pack in the next few days. We hope to see it successfully released soon. This has been OneWolfe joining us for our specialty interview episode.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for listening. OneWolfe, thank you for the interview. I know I kind of just pounced this on you the day of your birthday, but thank you for being a good sport and coming to our little podcast.
Oh no, I was definitely looking forward to something like this. I'm honestly doing as much as I can to create hype and get interest in this pack. I like I said earlier, I would love to have it go public on the Feed the Beast launcher, simply because there isn't any other pack out there that is publicly accessible. Most of them are either private packs or they're simply just client-side Optifine and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd really like to get as much interest and move this into to more of a public cinema.